And we are live, guys. Bitcoin is at $106,000. How are you doing, James?
Good. How could you not be doing good? And Marty, I'm learning all Marty's new dance moves. So it's
How are you doing?
pretty incredible. Yes, the nuclear arms race is happening, but we'll get into more of that later.
It's absolutely spectacular. And Mando cannot join us today because of some personal commitment. He will be back next week. We will talk about a lot about Bitcoin, because that is what's driving the market. It is an all-time high day. Amazing what's happening with MicroStrategy, Saylor. What is Trump doing? How is the geopolitical climate moving? We will talk about the fair value accounting. Asia is sailing up a lot, and will settle the quantum computing threat once and for all. We'll talk about the altcoins, Solana versus ETH. We'll talk about Sui. Asked Marty to explain Zeus again, because I felt that a lot of people didn't really listen the first time. But now when price is up, I think a lot of more people will pay attention. We'll talk about Tesla, which is at all-time high as well today, and many more things. It's a very happy day, and I'm feeling a bit, I'm sick, but how can you not be happy at a day like this? So let's get right into it. What are your thoughts here, James, at a day like this, where we're like confidently above 100,000, put it behind us perhaps?
As I've been saying for a while, first of all, started about 3 to 4 months ago, that this was not a retail game anymore. The meme coin industry is a retail game. This is an institutional game. This become a corporate treasury game, and now it's become a nation state sovereign game. So the race is on to stack as much as you can, as quickly as you can, and that's what's happening right now. And you can see the money flow. We have at least $3 billion flowing into Bitcoin every single day. 3 billion. And if the average retail investor DCA is $50 a week, what's that? Call it $7 a day or something. $3 billion divided by 7, that's how many retail investors the amount of money flow represents. That's not retail. You can look at the wallets and you can identify that very quickly. This is institutional money. This is sovereign money. These are countries stacking behind the scenes that we're not fully aware of. And we'll talk more about some of the game theory potentially behind some of these sovereign funds and nation state treasuries as well.
How are you feeling today, Marty? What's your thoughts here as we're leaving 100K behind us, perhaps?
I'm feeling good. I mean, this is as expected. We thought 105 would be the top. It's a little higher. Then the next target is 125 out of the cup and handle, which lines up with a lot of things. So I think that's where we're heading next. Then probably a pullback back to around this range. I think James is correct. This is just an arms race. If you study the metrics, you'll see that no country is not considering this, even if they've said they aren't. I think you have to acquire at least 1 to 2% of your reserve in Bitcoin. I think we see a lot of gold outflow into Bitcoin. Your mom, your granny, your auntie, somebody you went to high school with is probably calling you, asking you about Bitcoin. This is where we are. It's Bitcoin's time. And, we've waited a long time. And, I always stand by my hypothesis. If we didn't have choke point, Luna, and the collapse of SBF, this is where we would have been already. To me personally, I believe the cycle only begins now. I'm a super cyclist. I think this is where we were supposed to be at around 100,000. And so now we're actually seeing what Bitcoin is truly capable of. Where it goes, no one knows. You know me, I call 1.5 million right now, and I'll change my opinion if we have a couple of things. But most important to me, as Michael Saylor said, to get to 1 million, then requires 3 things, right? Spot ETF, we got that. Banks to be able to custodian Bitcoin, we got that, BNY Mellon. And the third thing was yesterday, the 15th of December, which is the FASB accounting rules. So all 3 things have now checked off the list. And as you see, Bitcoin starts to go up. It's quite miraculous, but the man was right. It's now past the Lindy effect. It's no longer a speculative asset. And it's a fundamental asset. We're developing fundamentals, but at this point, it looks like debt is moving into hard assets, like Bitcoin. Debt is moving into Bitcoin, which was always the hypothesis from the beginning. There we go. So altcoins, I know everyone's obsessed with altcoins, but as I've been saying, altcoins right now will be tested for their flaws, and their flaws can sometimes be quite painful. All you have to focus on is what the previous flaw was and what the new flaw is. If you look at coins like XRP, you'd be quite happy. If you look at coins like SUI, you'd be quite happy. If you look at coins like Solana, you understand it was 150, now it's 215. So the floor prices have come up high, and we should expect the next floor prices to be a little bit more. I'd say 1.6 times that gap, etc.
Yep.
So
let's explore the altcoins.
Yeah, be patient on the altcoins.
Absolutely. Let's stick with Bitcoin a little bit first. So the big news here really of the day is this that MicroStrategy is joining the Nasdaq Top 100, but it's not joining it at the bottom. As I understand, it's joining it in the middle already at what is it, like 40th largest company or something like that, at 0.5% of the index.
Right now it's 39.
39, yeah. Position 39 already. So
Huge
it's a significant... It's not that it just got in, right? So I'm not sure why did this come now. They're already huge compared to the bottom of that top 100. Do you know that, James?
Yeah, they do kind of quarterly reviews and annual big additions, and that's why it doesn't happen midstream as it hits. Like, for example, if that was the case, Sailor would already be number 100 in the S&P 500 right now. So, and we saw the huge delays of the S&P 500 adding Tesla because nobody liked Elon. So you just got to wait for these organizations, but it's amazing that it is in the QQQ now because that brings about the perpetual bid. It will inflate. Like my targets over a week ago was to take us to at least $444. And right now, let me see, MicroStrategy is at $423.24. So we're not far away from that $444 target. And there'll just be that continual buying of MicroStrategy. I mean, the total QQQ and ancillary funds is $550 billion. They have 0.5% weighting. And we have the Michael Jackson glove on. So it's really, really good for the space. It's more money into the space. And there was a very funny tweet. It's like a big Trojan horse. Being led by somebody into the gates of TradFi normies, and the horse is full of little Bitcoins. So now the world is buying Bitcoin, whether they like it or not, which is big.
Yeah, and I read it's at least $500 billion that is in the ETFs alone that's tracking the Nasdaq Top 100. And then probably there's a lot more people who kind of are looking at this list and buying it while they're not buying through the ETF. So it is very big news for sure. Okay, so because I thought actually they were at the bottom of the list, I only today realized that no, they're like in the top half already. So do you think that Sailor is buying today? Is that what is driving the price?
He did buy. He did his bat signal yesterday, the green dot thing. And he bought a big bag today. Let me see how much. I have a slide on that. They're up to 439,000. They added about $1.5 billion yesterday. So that's big. And now, this is interesting. From the Bitcoin historian, they now own more than China and the United States combined. One little company. That was $1 billion company back in August 2020. Now it's over $100 billion. It's mad.
Do you think that's what's driving the price today? Is that what is pushing us into all-time high?
No, I don't think so. I think maybe for those that are watching, they probably say, we better stack some of this now, and might create a little bit of sovereign FOMO, not retail FOMO, sovereign FOMO. I don't know. And there was all the games behind the scenes with Putin urging Trump to build a Bitcoin reserve. And I said this again maybe a few weeks ago, that why would he say that? Because if you want to stack Bitcoin, you don't want to say something like that, because that will drive the price up. But I believe Putin already has a big bag of Bitcoin. I just can't prove it. Marty, do you have any insight as to Putin's wallets by chance?
No, we don't actually know. Very secretive, but 100%. I mean, Russia, I'm very good friends with a lot of large Bitcoin miners that moved from Russia to Kazakhstan when they banned crypto mining in Russia. And they say that Russia has an entire city dedicated to Bitcoin mining that is super in Siberia, with its own nuclear power station. These guys have been mining Bitcoin like mad. You have no idea.
Yeah, that explains why
Russia,
very few
Russia
come on the market.
is heavily involved in crypto. Heavily involved in crypto. Besides what you're exactly.
Yeah.
So MicroStrategy now at 423,650. James, what you've got?
Yeah. Well, the thing that I look at is the NAV premium. And right now we're nearly at, it's basically at a yearly low, just being under 2.2. It's now 2.18. Sometimes it goes as high as 3.5 or even more. Back in 2020, late 2020, it went as high as 5. So when I expect this to go a lot higher now with the QQQ edition, because people simply just have to buy. They have to chase the stock for the waiting. So that's going to be crazy. This is going to just drive the stock price up. And there you see the 439,000 Bitcoin owned, the $101.3 billion market cap. Bitcoin value is $46.5 billion. And that's it. It's kind of good times for now out there.
BlackRock is now up to BlackRock is up to 535,000.
Yep.
Binance is just under 121. So BlackRock, I think a big event will be when BlackRock passes Binance. That's 100,000 Bitcoin away. I think that'll be a turning point. Because my opinion that Binance controls the price of crypto. I think BlackRock with Jane Street is on a mission to try and take over that dominance. And they're nearly there. That will significantly alter the charting of Bitcoin. I think the volatility will drop out in quite significantly. It'll trade more like the SPA. Anyway, that's my thoughts.
Definitely BlackRock will increase. This is in the mainstream media, actually, with Russia and the geopolitics here. So, who would have thought that Forbes would write something like this? But here we are. I think an interesting thing that I learned...
Before you move on, CTO Larson, Forbes also controversially posted an article yesterday confirming Trump's strategic reserve plans. Did you see that as well?
Yep.
I did. I'm actually having it here on the screen. So they posted this. It was very noteworthy post. Can you guys see it, by the way, or is there some issue?
Yes, we see it clearly.
It shows, right? What I discovered 5 minutes before this show is that there's actually a poly market bet on that. Will Trump create Bitcoin reserve in the first 100 days? So that part is important. It's currently at 35%. That I didn't know until now. So this will be interesting to track, because we learned from the election that changes in this probably means someone knows something. So that could very well happen. Someone working in the administration want to make an extra buck if they know where this is actually going. So I'm going to track this one, because of course, if they do it, if they actually do that, that would
the question
be
CTO is not, I think the question now isn't if, it's how. How will they acquire the Bitcoin? I mean, we know they have 194,000 seized Bitcoin. Will that go into the strategic reserve? Will they buy in the OTC market from exchanges like Binance? Or will they go on the market? Or alternatively, they could convert gold, which is what Cynthia Loomis's proposal explains, right? James, what's your thoughts on that? How will the US acquire another 200,000 Bitcoin?
Well, there's two ways. So if they pitch it as a way of dealing with the deficit, anybody with half a brain will agree to it. Second of all, the US government is now controlled by the GOP, the right-hand side. So the House, the Senate, and the White House all controlled. And there's a lot of new people in their seats, and they are all pro-crypto. So that tells me there's a very good chance. The thing here within 100 days, that's a very short window to happen. But at the same time, it's also urgent that if it does happen, it happens fast. You can't talk about doing this for a year, because who knows where the price will be a year from now. The second item as well is, even if they don't do this, they have the ability, the discretion to spend $10 billion without any permission. So they could buy $10 billion worth every year and then just stack that as a starting point. So either way, I think they might do something interesting. The question is, does Barron have a bag of Bitcoin? I know he's got some NFTs and some Ethereum too.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah. I think it's a very good insight, Marty. Because, of course, if they just do it, say that, we already have it. It's the 200,000 we already have. That's the reserve. Okay, that's not so much. But if they actually go out and start converting gold, that would be huge. Then all the other countries will follow. Then we actually have a Cold War fight between Russia and the US about who gets the most Bitcoin.
I mean, another interesting fact is that total crypto market cap, CTO, right now is 3.72 trillion. 3.72 trillion is just above Apple's market cap. So total crypto remains since last week above Apple. Bitcoin alone is over 2.1 trillion. As we speak, it's going up. Amazon is at 2.39. So Bitcoin is just about to pass Amazon. Then it'll be Google, then Nvidia, then Microsoft, then Apple. So we've got Bitcoin now on its own becoming, potentially a top 5 asset, and crypto passing Apple. These kinds of things are going to weigh very heavily on strategic reserves for corporations, shareholders having more influence. We saw the Microsoft vote. Now we hear about an Amazon vote. I think this is another new, attack vector to the price of Bitcoin and the scarcity model, is the size. The size of these market caps now, people cannot deny that, they're no longer speculative. They're here to exist. They're past the Lindy effect. I think this week, going into the new year, especially with the FASB rules now supporting fair market value accounting, we're going to see a lot of announcements coming up in the next weeks as well. So additional pressure to sovereign collection will now become the top 5 corporations. Very interesting. And gold sitting at 17.9.
Very interesting. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, that is huge, actually. Crypto as total looking at this is an ascending triangle. It's probably breaking out here at some point. Then it will be bigger than Apple, the crypto market cap as a whole, and only gold is bigger than.
Yeah, I worked it out at 107,800. It'll be bigger than Apple.
Yeah.
Which is pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing. Fair value accounting is also interesting. I actually read up a little bit on it. It's very well thought through. So that means that if they're holding like a real crypto asset, they cannot, like a company cannot create. It has to be on blockchain, it has to be a distributed ledger or blockchain or something like that, secured through cryptocurrency. It has to be fungible. And the company cannot create it themselves. They cannot say that, okay, guys, we have created this cryptocurrency. It has 1 billion supply, and we will release one coin on the market, which we will buy ourselves, and then we have created shareholder value here. They cannot do tricks like that. It has to be an actual crypto. So I think this is very well thought through, and it means then that companies, if Bitcoin price goes up, they can show that as profit. Is that correct? During the year.
Exactly.
Or they can,
so
they can lend against it.
Yeah. This is why the new FASB rules are so important, because with this implementation, as the price, if you assume the price of Bitcoin goes up, the MicroStrategy can now account for their Bitcoin holdings at fair value, which means any increase in Bitcoin price will be reflected in their financial statements every quarter. And I believe that MicroStrategy could very easily become the most profitable company on the planet. If you imagine, just imagine hypothetically, Bitcoin price goes up 20% in a quarter. You multiply 20% by, say, 60 billion. That's $12 billion in profit. The earnings per share will go to the moon. There is no company on the planet that can even get close to 12 billion a quarter in profit. And that's what they can potentially do. And that is going to really melt faces.
Yeah, did you read that incredible thesis on MicroStrategy's strategy, James, that passed around?
Yeah, I'm the first guy into MicroStrategy. So I've been tracking this thing for over 4 years now. And yeah, that thesis is very interesting, very good. But you can sum it up in those 3 little bullets that I wrote under your post. You know, debt, the pivot from debt and bonds is happening. And the pivot to this new bond market, which is Bitcoin backed convertible bonds, is the new infinite game. And there's no limit as to how high and how long this thing can go on. And it really is. It's, as a finance guy, it is the most incredible infinite money glitch I've ever seen in my life. So,
I'm an engineer. I'm not a macroeconomist, but I feel that the idea with bonds, the idea with government bonds was that it's literally zero risk. You don't get that much return, but you also don't take any risk. Now, I think a lot of people are asking themselves, could it actually happen? Could like a country economy actually kind of go bankrupt? And what's the risk? And it's probably not zero anymore. How do you feel about that? James, do you think that is driving part of that bonds are less attractive because they actually carry risk today?
I think bonds are dead, and they have been for a long time, because of the debasement. People understand how much debt there is in the world, and people understand how much money printing there is to service the debt. So if you're getting 3 or 4% on a bond for 10 years, and the money's debasing at 14% plus, you're losing 11%, easy every year. And compounding of that, after 10 years, you have 25% of your money left. Nobody's doing that anymore. Nobody. Unless they're a complete fool told by a financial advisor that they need to be 40% bonds. Bond market's dead. Yeah. Has been for a long time.
That seems dead. So what people have been doing instead lately, clearly, they've realized that, and they have been buying gold. And Marty, you sent this one. I think it's very interesting because it really shows that the digital gold narrative is live and well.
I love this chart.
You sent it.
I love this chart. It's just a simplistic, very easy to understand synopsis of exactly what's going on, the accumulation of store of value assets. You can see the Y-Cops are almost identical. You can see the cup and handle on Bitcoin. We've been talking about for a long time with a clear target of 125. And you can see proportionately almost exactly the target of the bullish flag on gold at 3,000. You can see they're well on their way down. I see it like a 400-meter dash. They're just turning the corner on the halfway mark, and gold and Bitcoin is actually pulling ahead. I don't think people are moving Bitcoin into gold, but I truly believe people are moving gold into Bitcoin to reallocate and balance their portfolios. And so I see this continuing, and I believe Bitcoin will reach the end line before gold, which will be quite an interesting scenario. And it should accelerate. But this for people that want peace of mind, just keep this chart up. I posted on my group. Just keep it up. This is the best way of looking at the macro, at what exactly is going on.
Well, I love the way this chart intrigues me because you use the monthly for gold and you use the weekly for Bitcoin. Absolutely. So if you do that, does that mean that gold runs in a 16-year cycle as Bitcoin runs in a 4-year cycle?
Yep, gold is a much longer cycle, correct. Bitcoin is an accelerated, it's accelerated, it's an arms race. It's an accelerated cycle, absolutely accelerated. We know that. Everything is accelerating. The cycle itself is accelerating. And so we can watch it in real time. Really interesting.
Tissue for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I have a whole role here, but that doesn't stop us. Some
No.
sickness doesn't
Now when the
stop
market's
us, does
pumping.
it?
By the way, Tesla just hit
Exactly.
$453. It's up $17 today. This thing was
James,
at 200.
it looks like a Tesla versus MicroStrategy price race.
As my two biggest positions right there.
A race to
It's
500.
madness.
It's a race to 500.
Remember so I was at the Tesla event, the We Robot taxi event, and that was the 10th of October. The next day, the market opened Tesla at $200. That was the 11th of October. Okay, it's more than doubled in just 2 months. It's madness. What does the chart say?
It is beautiful. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. And yeah, I put it on the agenda, but let's take it now. James, you have been the ambassador of this for as long as I know you. We are in all-time high territory. Elon Musk has put all the critics to shame. He's more powerful than ever. And we talked a lot about it on the show, that if that there really is an Elon Musk play here after the election, and it's playing out. What do you see is happening with Tesla now? What is driving this? Is it the narrative, or is it the business, or both?
Well, there's a couple of little factors. One, it's Wall Street window dressing. The institutions are very underweight Tesla, so they have to stack before the end of the year to show their customers that, hey, we've got Tesla in our bag. Second of all, retail are dominant. They own about 50% of the stock, and they're kind of a little bit crazy like the Bitcoiners. You know, they're diamond hands. They don't sell. They know where this thing is going. So there's very little float available right now. And on top of all that, you have Tesla is on the cusp of solving autonomy. Next year, we're talking in 14, 15 days, cars, you'll be able to sit in the back of your car and sleep, and they can take you from San Francisco to Los Angeles. In fact, one of the big YouTubers just did that. And then he took it from LA to San Diego. No intervention whatsoever. Never touching a brake, never touching an accelerator, never touching the steering wheel. We're here. We have landed. And now Wall Street realizes, uh-oh, they really have solved autonomy. Even the CEO of Google admitted it last week as well, because they have a thing called Waymo, which is their version, but it only works in very distinct mapped areas on very distinct roads, but there's not a scalable solution. So we're here. Autonomy is solved. And I can't wait for next year, because that opens up a whole new world for people. Everybody, for the sake of $30,000, can have their own private chauffeur. And if you've ever taken a chauffeur-driven limo to the wine country, that'll cost you $2,000 a day. Now you can buy a car for 30 grand and it'll do it for you every day of the week, 24 hours a day. And that's quite special.
I read up a little on the energy business. The energy part of Tesla has been growing really well, like 50% year on year.
Infinite demand as well, because of data centers and AI, the compute, and the need for energy and the need for backup energy, because you can't say it. And you guys know as technologists, it's like, oh, sorry, ChatGPT is down. We had a little bit of a power outage. Come back later. That's not acceptable in today's world. But it's actually what's really interesting about that. The energy storage business is 30% margin. They have infinite demand. Like people just stack them like they're stacking Bitcoin. There's so much demand for it. But what's also very interesting is all of a sudden, the Bitcoin FUD died about it not being ESG friendly, because data centers now use a lot more energy than Bitcoin mining, I think, as well as air conditioning, as well as clothes dryers, as well as da-da-da-da-da. So that piece of FUD has died as well. New all-time high in Bitcoin, by the way. Boom, $106,588, 106.6. Can anybody do that? The British, the bidding auction accent? You know, they go. Madness.
Sorry. Look at XRP, move 246 in one move. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah.
106,715 United States dollars. It is spectacular.
We're moving. Wow.
Unbelievable.
All right. We have too many topics to talk about. Let's sum it up. I take 1 minute on the quantum thingy, and then we move on to the altcoins.
Yeah,
So,
we saw, CTO, you wrote a lovely post on that. Maybe you can explain to people.
Exactly. So my conclusion is that the rest of society, our entire global society and everything on the internet is going to break before Bitcoin breaks. With perhaps one exception that I hadn't actually realized when I wrote the first post. There is maybe an issue with this first 1 million Satoshi coins, in case there is technological breakthroughs. Today, this is not possible. There is no quantum computer who can do this, and you cannot take like 1,000 Willow chips or 1 million Willow chips or something and connect them, because they cannot work separately. The way that quantum computer works, if I should explain it in like 10 seconds, is that the different bits talk to each other. That's what's called quantum entanglement. So you can't have them in different chips, then they can't talk to each other. They have to be in the same chips and they're kind of interconnected. That's what's the magic about quantum computing. And today it's not, no one has built any quantum chip with enough bits that are stable to do that. So today this isn't possible. But if we imagine a future where there are some technological breakthroughs, one thing that could break first then, that is in Bitcoin. Other stuff will break before that, but in Bitcoin, it is Satoshi's first coins, because those coins are stored in a way where you can see the public key. All Bitcoins after that, you can't see the public key. Like the address that you have for your Bitcoin is not the public key. It's a hash of the public key, which means that you kind of scramble it and you don't see the public key. So you cannot reverse the private key out of the address. You need, even with an ideal quantum computer, you cannot do that. So, but if someone builds in the future a quantum computer that doesn't exist yet, I think the first thing in Bitcoin to look out for is Satoshi's first 1 million coins. So that's perhaps over the next 5-10 years, the researchers or developers of Bitcoin need to look at and prepare for that. But the point is that there are years ahead here. There's plenty of time to think about this, debate it on social media, and if there need to be a soft fork, can be a soft fork. So this is not going to impact anything today. It's not that Google can produce 10,000 of these chips and break Bitcoin. No, that's a misunderstanding of how the technology works. So that's that.
Can I add one point, CTO, before you move on?
Yes.
I think an interesting point that people always fixate on, they always fixate on crypto being the first target of quantum attack, which is absolute nonsense. Crypto, as we know, Bitcoin is only $2 trillion. Well, what's sitting behind the antiquated 1995 technology of mainframes, COBOL, and ancient technology is the central bank general ledger, the pride and jewel of the US dollar. And that is sitting behind ancient security walls. In fact, layers of security which would be peanuts for quantum computers to break into. So the threat in TradFi is way higher than crypto. In fact, crypto is by far the most secure. What will happen first is quantum will attack TradFi and will attack the ledgers of TradFi, which 80% live on Amazon, AWS, and Azure, all corporate general ledger systems in QuickBooks, etc. Those will be attacked first. So anybody that fixates on crypto being the first victim of quantum attack has missed the point. Quantum attack will go for the low-hanging fruit. The $5 quadrillion in the traditional finance system will be attacked first. And Jerome Powell even said that when asked what keeps him awake at night, Jerome Powell said, quantum attack of the traditional financial system. He reiterated that himself. So just understand, the rich people have realized that the general ledger of crypto is the safest general ledger in the world. Every other ledger has become vulnerable. And that is where quantum will attack. So there's a much bigger problem than whether crypto will be attacked by quantum. And that's how the traditional system or secure against quantum attack. And that's why I believe you've seen such a swing in the regulatory and sovereign understanding and acceptance of crypto. It's because they need it more than anyone else to protect their general ledger. Okay, so that's a little bit people misunderstand. If the last thing that will get it will be crypto. Go ahead.
So guys, don't sell your Bitcoin and put it in the bank account to protect yourself from quantum attack, because the bank account will probably break first if this ever, comes to fruit. Let's move on, guys. Altcoins, alt season. Is it over? Is Bitcoin taking back the strength? We had almost for 2 years straight. We've had basically Bitcoin climbing at the expense of altcoins, and we had this break. Now Bitcoin is coming back. How do you see the market as a whole? Who wants to start?
I personally don't believe we're seeing an altcoin season yet. I think we're just seeing the beginnings of a Bitcoin run. This is Bitcoin's time. I think Bitcoin is just getting started. Only once Bitcoin finds its floor, I believe money will pull back into alts. What do you think, James?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So we have had many alt seasons, actually. Solana has outperformed Bitcoin by 500%, but people get very frustrated because it's stagnant for 4 weeks and they think it's the end of the world. But people need to zoom out, very important. Second of all, the traditional alt season market, that was a rotation. When Bitcoin gets toppy, people sell their Bitcoin and they pump into alts for more alpha. That's probably not going to happen this year because it's a different situation. The people that own Bitcoin are holding it. They're not going to sell it and put it into altcoins. And the whole seasonality of everything is different this time. I think the 4-year cycle has been radically changed. I think alt season has happened in fits and starts in different areas. We have sometimes meme coins pumping, sometimes layer 1s pumping, sometimes oracles pumping. Now we have layer 2s on Bitcoin pumping. We'll talk about that in a minute too. So I always say every dog has its day. There's always a day where something's going to pump and something's not going to pump. But you just got to zoom out and don't get too cute trying to time the pumps. Build a solid set of positions with high conviction and ride it out. There'll be the Suis, the Sols, maybe the Zeuses of the world, the Bitcoins, MicroStrategies, the Teslas. That's the way I'm playing it.
Very interesting perspective. Should we go into the details a little bit? Because there is some interesting developments in... let's take some questions first. And guys, if you have any questions, please...
There is a question that's come up a lot of time. Maybe you can pull up the chart for that in the full-size CTO. People believe the chart for Solana is looking very bullish. Cup and handle patterns, I know Marty's been talking about, but it looks like it's coiling up, and sometimes things do that. Can you see anything in your crystal ball?
On the Solana... I think there's 2 things to observe here. A lot of people are focusing on Solana to USD chart.
Can you blow that up for the audience?
I've had a lot of... sorry, it's too small.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think the much clearer and perhaps easier chart to follow has actually been this one, which is Solana to BTC, because it has been very clear. And then this isn't like some magic lines. It's because people are trading not between Solana and USD. They want to increase their Bitcoin holdings. So they are trading between Solana and Bitcoin. And that's why we get these very clear levels. And the level to watch for the entire of 2024 has been this level at 0.002, where support has held so many times. And now we're almost there again. So statistically, from a technical analysis perspective, you try to buy at support and sell at resistance if you're going to sell, or sell at some top pattern or something like that. So I think a lot of people are saying, should I sell now because Solana is down? But, it's right at support. It's a common mistake people do. They buy at resistance and then they sell at support instead of the other way around. Correct. So I think that this is perhaps an opportunity from a risk-reward perspective. I don't know where Solana will go, but I think this is looking pretty good.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think people retail traders and newbies often make the same mistake. I agree with you, CTO. When we're not in altcoin market is when you should be buying altcoins. These altcoins are now testing for their floors. This is their lows. This is when you should be buying them. You don't buy things near all-time high. It's a common mistake people make. FOMO. When things are pumping, that's when they think they should buy them. You don't do that. You buy things when they're in their troughs, when they're in their lows. So this is the time to buy altcoins, in my opinion, to take profits out of Bitcoin and put it into altcoins, not the other way around. I think one thing that's happened with the regulatory shift up is that XRP, is finally retracing to where it should have been all along, which is in the $3 range, and it's going there very fast. I mean, look at the XRP chart right now. Pull it up, CTO. Look what's happening on XRP. It's just run from 2.36 to 2.51. XRP is running back to $3 fast, and I think that's shaking up a lot of liquidity. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's running up.
Probably driven by the statement.
Go into like a 5-minute
from the statement from Trump that the US based crypto projects will get some advantages. So yeah, I agree. This is a pretty bullish chart, the USD chart.
Just put it on
I wanted to compare the Solana BTC chart with the ETH to BTC chart because actually the ETH to BTC chart is not so happy life right now. This is a head and shoulders. So here's left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So that's not so good, but it perhaps needs to go a little bit lower to confirm, but definitely a worrying situation for Ethereum. Not looking so great. So yeah, that's on this one. I wanted to also wonder if James, you had some very interesting comparisons between developers, daily transaction volume, the fees, and so on and so forth. Can you share a little of that?
Yes, I can. I thought there's two things kind of I like to look at. I like to look at where the money is going. So if I can share that screen, maybe blow it up. And also where the developers are going, because think of developers like venture capitalists. They, as you know, their time is invested in building something and they want to be rewarded for it. So we had the first ever flippening in the history of the world over the last 8 years. And this report's from Electric Capital, but Solana became the #1 new chain for new developers and new development as well in the place, surpassing Ethereum. Ethereum was king of the hill for 8 years, which is very big. And next, I just like to have fun with ratios and try to build ratios and ratios. But I looked at all the weekly developers, active developers for all the different chains. Ethereum is still #1, 2,742 people building on Ethereum. Solana 857, Bitcoin 680, etc. And then I looked at daily transactions, daily fees, and DEX volume, and that's where it gets interesting. Now I know it's a bit of a stretch to correlate these things. If you look at a chain like Near Protocol, all of the action for the users is shopping coupons in Singapore and Asia, place like that. You have Tron, all of their action is stablecoin movements. They run, 80% of the stablecoin market right now. But if you look at daily fees per developer, it shows you how much value each developer creates. Tron wins here. Sol is second, ETH third, Bitcoin fourth. Then if you look at daily transactions per developer, Tron is first again because they just make so much in fees and have so few developers. Say is second, and Solana is third, Near is fourth. And then DEX volume per developer. Tron first, Binance second. Binance has very few developers. Base is third, which I thought was very interesting, and Solana's fourth. So when you create a composite score on all of these, Tron is #1, Solana is #2. But it's interesting to just look at that. And I'm interested in your perspective as well from all of this, because we had some big changes as well. I think there's now 24,000 developers, open source developers in crypto. Asia is the #1 continent for crypto developers. India is the #2. And it's also #1 for Solana. And people say, oh, India, they're making all the meme coins. Who knows? Maybe they are. And Solana is the most popular ecosystem for new developers in 2024, which is big. So that's kind of the quick summary of that.
Yeah, data. I saw some Merck put out Electric Capital's chart of ecosystem developers for 2024. Did you see that one?
I've seen them all, yeah. A great report.
Yeah, that one has Solana up 7,625 new developers. I'm in touch with most of the CTOs in Silicon Valley right now, and in Singapore and in Tokyo, just through my connections. And so I'm very aware of what people are building on. And I believe that Solana and Sui are by far the choices of developers. Any new founder is using Solana or Sui. Nothing else. Literally nothing else. Not even Base.
Yep.
Base is pretty much just Coinbase's team building on it. And price doesn't reflect that, obviously. This is all future price. Once these we all go, what is the next killer app? I think we all know that the infra of crypto is being built and evolved, but the actual real world utilities that are going to benefit lives, we're still waiting for that app. Pump Fund was interesting, but it was more like a casino. When is the actual app coming? And we've all said it's probably stablecoin. So once stablecoin regulation gets approved, we saw Thailand has approved crypto as legal currency. We see Ukraine now proposing it. I think this is the new wave, is you'll see regulatory legal tender coming through for crypto, and thus will open the door for businesses to accept crypto. Once they do, I think you're going to see a slew of new killer apps together with Trump, loosened regulations in the US. You'll see the innovators come along and everything will change. So we're in that sort of doldrum right now where we're paying the price for aggressive regulation in the US. A lot of innovation has been stifled. But during that time, as usual, developers learn new skills, and they've learned the skills. They've learned Rust. They've learned how to code in Solana and Sui. And I think the applications are just around the bend. We also know that Q1 and Q2 of 2025 are when Solana is going to unveil new partnerships and its new technologies, including Firedancer. We've got 00. I spoke about it on last week's show. I've learned a lot more about it this week. There was a great Lightspeed podcast about it. I'm not sure people are aware of 00 and the problem it's trying to solve, which benefits all of blockchain. But there's a lot of developer activity going on under the surface, and these charts reflect that. I think people, if you're a technology investor, these are the charts that matter. To me, this is what I look at more than anything else. And
can you talk? Either of you, can you talk about the delay between? Imagine 2,000 developers move to Solana or Sui to build, but talk about how it takes 6 to 12 months to see the fruits of their labor in product market fit dApps.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And also it's not the same thing, right? Like, many people think I'm going to program something great and then people will come, but it doesn't work like that. Very few people can even see for themselves if it's good or not. So it is a long process. First, you have to build it, and you have to find a way to market it and get it out. And that takes a very long time. And if I can add one perspective, because do you think ETH is just lagging the market or will catch up soon? I thought about that. And the past week, I went and I tried a lot of stuff again, like tested the applications. And I think one thing is striking, and that is that how much better the Phantom user experience is than the MetaMask user experience. And I know Phantom supports Ethereum as well, but still a lot of the action on Solana ecosystem has been through Phantom, and a lot of the action on the Ethereum ecosystem or all the EVM chains have been on MetaMask, and it is much harder and more hostile to use. I think that a lot of people underestimate. They think it's just about the technology, but if it's too difficult to use, people don't like it. They're not going to use it. So I think that's a problem for Ethereum at this point.
Yeah, make sure it's clear you're talking about the Phantom wallet, not the Phantom Layer 1 as well. People might be confused.
Oh yeah.
Go
So I'm talking about the Phantom wallet. Yeah. No,
Phantom
absolutely.
wallet
Phantom wallet,
announced,
like the
support for
end
Base.
user call application.
They're introducing Base as well. Phantom is an unbelievable wallet. Ethereum, native Bitcoin, Base, everything integrated in one.
I'm saying so. I mean, of course, you could use Phantom wallet also for Ethereum, but in reality, I think a lot of people on Ethereum are not. They're still using the MetaMask ecosystem.
That's right.
So that is another argument. But still, I mean, so what is happening? Let's take some questions. James, when will Solana pump? Why is price so bearish? So you know what is happening there.
We say this every time. Every dog has its day. This is Bitcoin's time. This is, Bitcoin proxies. That's where the money is flowing right now. That's where the chasing is happening. It's like the bees go to where the pollen is. That's where the action is. But there'll come a time, there'll be another rotation. But bear in mind, this thing did come from $8 to $220 now.
And just so everyone gets it, because we had the same questions when Solana was like 20, when it was 10. James and I, we were here, we were talking, and we had those kind of questions. Now, instead of 20 or 10 or 8, people are asking, why is Solana only $218? So that is hilarious. It's up 10x, guys.
Yeah, I think people forget September 18th, Solana was 127. So it pumped 107% to 264 in a very short period of time. People forget very fast that Solana moves very fast, up and down. It's only given up roughly 22% of the 100%. So it's actually up 80% since early October.
And other news too, Bitcoin just hit 106,900. We could be at 110,000 by the end of the day. It's really moving fast.
Remember my number, 125.
Yeah.
Just remember that number.
My bull target was 120. It looks like it's too low now.
Yeah, I mean, Solana to me,
it's a DCA pump, guys. Thanks to all the institutions for buying during the DCA.
Solana is in reaccumulation stage. Remember, I call reaccumulation stage. There's a lot of validated activity. I don't know if you guys see. I track the top 5 validators on Solana, and Binance is now number 1. So Binance, with their BNSol liquid staking protocol, which they only introduced a few months ago, has now become the number 1 staker for Solana. So that's a big shakeup. I also think Coinbase had a lot of struggles with their Solana implementation. Just a lot of bad code, and there was a lot of delays, and the communities were not happy. So I think Coinbase has gone down a step with regard to Solana in the community, and Binance has taken that advantage, and I've seen a lane and has stepped in. So Binance has moved up in the Solana world tremendously. Also on the 3-day or the weekly time frame, Solana is doing exactly what it should do. It's in a giant rectangle pattern, hovering, between all-time high and 200, and the target out of that channel is 383. But more importantly, the cup and handle. I called the cup and handle on Bitcoin, and it realized. So why shouldn't the Solana cup and handle realize? It literally did a test of the handle over the last few days and passed. And the target out of that cup and handle is 535. So,
so I wanted actually to talk about that. Like, what is the potential here? Because I think there's 2 interesting things to note. One is that Solana volume, meaning the actual DeFi volume, DEX volume by chain, Solana is number 1 today. So the volume, 7 days, 28 billion. Solana, 21 billion on Ethereum. So that is already Solana number 1. But if you look at the cumulative amount, so if we go to chains here, loading a little bit slowly. So someone complained it's choppy because it's been raining outside. There's some internet problems here, but hopefully we get through the show. If this one would load, would be great. Anyway, if it doesn't load, I know what it's going to say. It's going to say that the TVL of Ethereum, meaning the total value locked, is significantly higher than Solana. And seems like it's not loading. So, but it is massively higher. So that I see as a potential for Solana to actually climb. Now it's coming here. So in terms of total value locked, TVL on Ethereum is 78 billion, on Solana is 9 billion. So that's like 9 times higher. Do you see that?
Is some of that TVL staked as well? So it's not a really good indicator. It's the way they measure TVL for ETH is a little bit different to Solana, isn't it?
Actually, good question. I don't know that. If someone knows that, you can answer in the comments. We'll bring up the answer. I just felt that there is a massive potential for disruption here. But
look at XRP. My God. Sorry, guys. On the side here, I've been trading XRP. A little bit distracted. Look at the pump on the small time frame. It's ridiculous. 258 right now. Yeah, Solana. I mean, I look at daily transactions. Solana is about 60 million a day. The next competitor is Near and Sui, down at 5 or 6 million. So it's a magnitude more. And that fundamental value will eventually come through in the market. Right now, people are pretty much unaware of that. Base, for example, is also just a couple of million a day. Daily active addresses, same thing. Solana is 5 million. The next nearest one is, not even close to 1 million. It's at a fundamental level, just another kind of a machine. It's performing in an extremely high volume. And it's only
Bitcoin 107,000. Sorry to disrupt you.
There we go. No problem. Bitcoin 107. Wow. We've got movement everywhere. Solana 220, Sui turns around at 4.7. We've got action everywhere. It's just a question of time. There we go. Everything is moving up pretty fast. We've got a breakout. Congratulations.
107,000. All-time high on the show. Amazing. Like real time.
MicroStrategy, $430. It was 373 3 days ago. Madness. It's absolutely the mad market. This is, at least as far as I'm concerned, the best bull market we have had, because it's a lot cleaner out there. No manipulators. Institutionalizing Bitcoin as an asset class is super, super interesting. And yes, Redbeard, friend of the channel.
Another point I wanted to make that I've been exploring is, I always go, there should be categorization in crypto. The notion of crypto under one umbrella, basically any project that uses a blockchain is called crypto, which it needs to evolve. We're not Philistines anymore. There's clearly store of value projects that use blockchain. There's clearly execution layer projects that use blockchain. There's clearly meme coins which use blockchain. There's stable coins which use blockchain. And they're very different asset classes and should be fundamentally valued and categorized differently. And we're not quite there yet. But at the fundamental level, you must understand, if an execution layer project like a Sui or a Solana, they have exponentially more perpetual platforms and ecosystem projects running on their network, which means there is tremendously more longing and shorting compared to something like an XRP, which is primarily only longed and short on centralized exchanges. In other words, one order book. So you have multiple order books on Solana. So there's a lot more competition for moving the price up and down in order to support the benefits of each player. And so you'll see this kind of price action. Now, the positive is much more balanced. Solana has been in a very balanced range. It was in a range of around $150 for almost a year. And now it's been in a range of around $220 for a couple of months. And that balance is one of the benefits of that magnitude of perpetual players. But it's very different to a blockchain that doesn't have any DEXs or any perpetuals and is only traded by centralized concerns with one market maker. So, these are very changing things, changing parts of the cycle, and will evolve over time. But this is something that people also have to understand. There are so many platforms on Solana, and they all have their own liquidation levels. They all have their own levels they need to chase. And so, a lot more market making. Anyway.
We're running out of time, guys. Should we cover a few more things? Sui, all-time high. We just celebrate Zeus,
yeah, I think some
well. Should we
interesting.
talk a little about Zeus? Because Zeus is interesting, I think, in terms of bridging from Bitcoin into Solana and so on. And Marty, why don't you explain what it is again?
Yeah, I think there are two technologies. To me, there's not much innovation in blockchain really outside two fundamental technologies, or four. Let's say four. Obviously, there's Sui, Mr. SETI. Sui's backend technology is extremely advanced. Their validators are extremely advanced, and they're moving forward with Mr. SETI 2, high-speed settlement layer. Not tested. They've never run over 70 TPS, so there's still risk in the Sui network, but on paper and based on the development team, nothing but roses and on the way up to the top 10, no doubt. The next one is Firedancer. We all know Dr. Kevin Bowers is working with his team on making the fastest single-state machine ever invented, and that's the Q1, Q2 going to go live. We all know that's the most fascinating thing in the domain. But coming from that project was 00. People are not aware, but the actual test network they used on the Firedancer team was where 00 comes from. Basically, what it is it's a private network designed using fiber cables under the ocean, dedicated fiber, to create a rail purely for high-speed blockchain use. Okay, understand that right now all blockchains land transactions on the public internet, and the public internet is an extremely unreliable, inefficient network. Okay, it's fine for delivering web pages, for doing millions of transactions a second. It's not optimum. The routing is extremely inefficient. So they took this work from Firedancer and they've moved it to its own project underneath the Solana umbrella. It's called 00. And what it's going to do is enable high-speed networks. Obviously, Solana will be the first in order to use dedicated private network rails to land transactions. So expect magnitudes of speed coming out of 00. There's already Jido has a client. Helios is building a client, and that's going to be coming out in Q1, Q2 next year, along with Firedancer. So Solana's roadmap is by far the most exciting roadmap, together with the Seeker phone, the next Solana phone, which is also going to make use of 00, ever imagined. And right now, you can understand the price is low. Why? There's about 750 known validators coming online. They're accumulating stake. They need $30 million worth of SOL. There we go. But the final, most intriguing, innovative technology is Zeus. Zeus is phenomenal. What is Zeus? Zeus is a layer 1.5. Okay, they have taken the Solana validator, the SVM validator, modified it. They've taken a Bitcoin validator, modified it, and created an asynchronous peg between native Bitcoin and a Solana derivative. Not a bridge. Zeus is not a bridge. And it is the plumbing on which all proof of work, or in fact, any asset, real world asset, anything, Ethereum, anything, can be permissionlessly pegged autonomously to a Solana derivative token, which gets the benefit of the fastest execution layer on Earth. So it's literally the layer 2 for anything. And that went live this week with its first Bitcoin transaction validated on the Solana virtual machine. So it's not like CBBTC. You cannot unwrap a Coinbase Bitcoin. You cannot unwrap a wrapped BTC, WBTC. You cannot unwrap them to native assets. ThorChain was the thought leader and arguably created the idea, but they're on Cosmos, a very inefficient execution layer. Solana is the one. Zeus is the network. It's part of the Solana Foundation project plan. It's backed by Anatoly. It went live this week. Take a look at Zeus. What will it enable? High-speed Bitcoin transactions, liquid staking of Bitcoin, yield generation of Bitcoin. And you guys spoke about the TVL on Solana being lower than Ethereum. This is how it catches up. Bitcoin TVL coming onto Solana. And Zeus is promising that. And I happen to know a little alpha. Next on the roadmap is Dogecoin. So Z Doge will be a thing. You'll be able to send Dogecoin instantaneously for free. You'll be able to use your Dogecoin in liquidity pools, earning yield outside of the Doge network. Obviously, all eyes are on Z Doge going into the future. So, and then BCH, Litecoin, Casper, any other proof of work token is next, and so on and so forth. But that's what Zeus is. It's very different to a bridge. It's not a bridge. There is not a siloed wallet sitting behind a multi-sig. There's actual autonomous code. They ran it and they cannot touch it. The way it works is you delegate your Zeus, which allows another Bitcoin person to add their Bitcoin into the pool, and instantly that Bitcoin is re-reflected in an autonomous peg on Solana as a ZBTC, now available to be used in the Solana ecosystem. And at any moment, that ZBTC can be unwrapped back into native Bitcoin. This is the important feature. Okay, so you can go to Solana, earn your yield, convert it back to Bitcoin without having to go through any centralized exchange or pass through the ugly thing of US dollars. So Zeus is a breakthrough technology. It's called multi-chain. Go and research multi-chain. It's the first execution ever of multi-chain from a fantastic team in the East.
Okay.
I know them very
well. We can talk for hours about this amazing technology. I just wanted to bring it up on the agenda. Let's take 1 minute with questions, and then we go back to celebrating the Bitcoin price. So let's take a few questions here, and everyone, you can welcome to type questions. James, are you aware of the token Solana token unlock schedule?
Yes. When you take it as a percentage of the actual amount that's in circulation, it's a nothing burger compared to what is unlocked by other chains. Remember, you got to look at everything in perspective of the actual market cap and the number of tokens in circulation. So that's the FTX unlock from March. Again,
yeah, I mean, really, the narratives are getting a little old. If you see anybody say, "Oh, Solana goes down," understand that over the last 3 months, little known, Doge 600 nodes were compromised last week. Of 900. No one knows about it. It got squashed in the news. Somebody found a vulnerability in Doge and took down 600 of their nodes. Okay. Sui went down the week before, went right under the rug. No, didn't get in any mainstream news. Sui did a complete system restart. Half of Ethereum went down through to some third-party exploit the week before. Cosmos went down. BNB chain went down. These things go down. It's part of blockchain. It's part of a novel asset class. This pinpointing Solana going down, which happened in 2023 and hasn't happened since, was because they only had a single validator. That's not true anymore. They have 5 validators. So we need to stop that narrative. It's pathetic. If you see anybody use that narrative, unfollow them immediately. They'll cost you money.
Exactly. I think this is the right question to ask. Like, are there altcoins that outperforming Bitcoin? I think in a bull market like this, it's not enough to make money in US dollar terms. You can throw darts and you will hit something. We have to try to beat Bitcoin. That's the objective. So this is the question.
I always say you're only going to hear about the successes. You're not going to hear about the 99% of failures. Anybody trying to chase a running token or an altcoin that's outperforming Bitcoin, you're only going to hear about the success stories, not about the people that lost everything. Okay? Most people lose everything.
Yes and no. I challenge a little bit there. I think that over quite a period of time, it has been successful. The way to do it, if you would try to do it, is to look at the coin to BTC chart. That's the way to try to beat Bitcoin. That is literally the chart. So if this chart is pointing down while you're making money in USD terms, it's not enough. And actually, that has been the case for the vast majority of these coins, that the chart has been pointing downwards. So that's why that is a good question. It has to be up on the BTC chart, basically, or at support, something like that. Can't beat BTC.
It comes down to regulatory jurisdiction as well. Here in the USA, if you pair trade, in other words, if you swap at the right time Bitcoin into Sui and then Sui into Solana, every time you do that, that's a taxable event. So you need to add 38% capital gains into your equation. Outside of the US, it's a little different. I don't think you pay capital gains in the same way. But here in the US, hodling has always been the most efficient approach. But swapping is still a taxable event. Be very careful of that.
There is no coin for 00. I just want to point that out. There will be scam coins.
No coin
Don't buy them. They are all scams.
Correct.
So I just made a little comment post. I call Q1 the beginning of alt season. Q1 2025, which starts in 15 days. Let's see.
We've got the big events coming up, James. We've got the Trump inauguration. We're calling the Trump inauguration pump, right?
Yep.
We've got FASB going in yesterday. We've got the FTX redistribution coming up. We have some significant bullish events, but most importantly, we see French Hill, Senator French Hill, coming in as Commerce Secretary. I don't know if people are even aware. French Hill is one of the most bullish crypto advocates ever. He's the person that has stood up in Congress and argued for crypto more than anyone else. He's taken over from McHenry. This is stunning bullish news for crypto, together with obviously Elon Musk, Vivek, and Howard Lutnick in the Congress, together with Senator Loomis, the champion, the GOAT. Continuing bullish news.
Bitcoin at $107,000 today. Live during the show.
The DCA pump.
I think DCA pump. We cannot talk about 2025 today. We have to keep it for next one. It's too much excitement here and now. And any final words, James?
No, as I say, old season, I believe, will kick off. Just be patient, everybody. If you look at everything rising right now, Tesla, MicroStrategy, Bitcoin going to the moon, and select alts are doing very well too. Just zoom out. Don't try. Again, I always say don't chase replace. Or Marty, you probably say don't chase the pumps. You'll end up being a bag holder. So just set your positions. If prices are low, that's when you buy, not when prices are high.
My good assets low. Yes, I think this week, before next week's show, watch out for a lot more corporate reserve announcements based on the FASB accounting rules. I think we're going to see Amazon news. I definitely believe Amazon is interested. We're going to see more Microsoft chatter and some other top companies introducing reserves. Other than that, wait for Bitcoin to hit that magic number 125, at which point I believe we'll have an altcoin run. Not until 125, I don't think we'll see altcoins explode as they will, or we want them to. So just be patient. Maybe by next show we'll hit the 125, but that's when all hell will break loose and everyone will be a lot happier.
Great.
Well,
thanks,
fantastic.
everybody.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, TTO. Thanks, James.
Have a nice day.
Thanks, Mando. Wherever you are
on Monday.
What a great week.
And, have a great week,
everyone. And don't forget to subscribe to James, Marty, and Mando as well, who couldn't make it here today. He'll be back on Monday. And,
buy your wife something special. Buy your loved one something special for putting up with you watching the charts at dinner for 365 days. Thank you.
Exactly.
That's the best advice.
Cheers, guys. Got to roll.
Thank you.
Thank you.